What's up, you guys? My name is Rachel Graham, and I'm a digital creator, a registered nurse, and a mom. And today I'm going to be continuing on with part two of cocaine and alcohol, the party combo that can stop your heart. And if you guys missed the first video, then it'll be linked somewhere here for you guys. So check that out. I just introduced cocaine and alcohol. I talked about my story with those drugs combined. And then I talked about short term effects of cocaine and alcohol independently and then together. On the body. But I'm really going to be diving deep now on when you combine alcohol and cocaine, it creates a third substance. And that substance is what you see on the screen. It's called cocaethylene. So basically, this is 18 to 25% more toxic to the heart and liver than cocaine alone. Why? It stays in your body longer. So it has a longer half life. So what that means is it continues to cause you damage even hours after the initial high is gone. And that is something that I did not know. I did not know that. And I think a lot of my friends didn't know that either, you guys. In researching this year, this is when I discovered this. Okay. And I haven't used this drug in a long, long time. So it increases the euphoric high, but it also, this combination, boosts the strain on your heart. It raises your risks of seizure. It increases the impulsivity and aggression that you would have with both of those drugs alone. And it's linked to sudden cardiac death, you guys. So here's some of the combined risks. Heart and cardiovascular, you're 3 times more likely to die from cardiac complications. That's a lot. I mean, just using cocaine by itself, it's very risky. You're literally snorting that substance like into your brain. To say that it's 3 times higher when you combine it with alcohol is just like mind blowing to me, you guys. So you have a higher risk of heart attack, you have a higher risk of arrhythmias, you have a higher risk of stroke. You have a greater chance of sudden death. And this is even in very healthy young people that have only tried it once. This does not discriminate. You can do it on the first time and be completely okay and do it like for 20 years and be okay. Or you can do it one time and have one of these things happen to you. Mental health. So combining these drugs, it intensifies your impulsivity, your violence, or you're prone to more violent behaviors and poor judgment. You just make bad decisions. It increases the likelihood of addiction to both substances because it's a really good time. Like, not gonna lie, like it's a very good time. So you really have to be very cognizant about understanding just because something is a really good time doesn't mean that you should do it. And as humans, we're drawn to pleasure. We're drawn to pleasure. And I'll tell you, cocaine just lights up the brain with pleasure. And you combine that with alcohol, and that's like the sweet escape, right? It's the party combo that, I mean, it's a good party combo, but it's really, really bad for you. It's not worth it. It's literally not worth it. It's not worth your life. It's not worth ending up in the hospital with cardiac arrest. It's not worth getting atrial fibrillation and having to deal with that and having your heart skip beats and sending you into supraventricular tachycardia and like feeling like you're going to die. Like, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. It's not worth it to see the sunrise because you've been up all night and feel so paranoid because you're crashing. It's not worth it, you guys. But it feels really good in the moment. So don't be fooled. Don't be fooled. So it also raises the risk of suicidal thoughts or psychosis. This isn't necessarily when you're in the peak and you're having a good old time. This is when you've taken the walk of shame home and you're alone and you're like, now what? Yeah, your dopamine is depleted and you feel like a shell of a human. That's what. It's scary. It's very scary. It's not fun. Liver and organ damage. Cocaethylene is hepatotoxic. It can cause liver damage. You only have one liver. Let me say that again. You only have one liver. If you damage your liver to the point of no return, you will have to get a liver transplant. You do not want a liver transplant. It causes stress on the kidneys, and then the nervous system. I mean, it's just a mess. It's a mess. It wreaks havoc on the body, you guys. So then I briefly referred to the crash. The crash, what you might feel when you've come down. Now you've taken your walk of shame home, or maybe you've had a ride home. Lucky you. You might feel anxious, irritable. You might have extreme paranoia or just a little bit of paranoia. Any amount of paranoia is not good. You know, no one wants to feel paranoid. Fatigue, you're going to feel like ass. Okay. You're going to maybe have intense cravings to get it going again because you're like, I need out of this life. Like, whatever's happening here, I'm in the inner realm of hell and I need out. So maybe the ticket out is like your friend calling you saying, yeah, I know it's only 2 o'clock, but like, you want to meet me for a beer? Yep. Like you have intense cravings. You want to get out of where you're at. And then what about feeling intense shame and guilt? Maybe you lied to your parents about where you were and what you were doing. Maybe you're older and you lied to your partner about what you were doing and where you were. Maybe you just broke a promise to yourself. You told yourself you were never going to do it again, and here you were doing it again. Maybe you drove drunk and under the influence of cocaine. Maybe you got in a fight with your best friend. Maybe you did something with somebody that you don't really remember, but you know it wasn't good. Maybe you have no recollection of the night and you woke up in a really compromised position, like not knowing where you were and not having any clothes on. These are all situations that are not uncommon when you combine these two drugs. So, shame and guilt, like, these are not pleasant emotions. These are not things that you want to feel. Sometimes feeling guilt is a good thing because it shows you where you need to correct, right? Um, but to feel it because you overdid it on cocaine and alcohol the night before, it's just not necessary. You don't need to put yourself through that. Cocaine messes with your brain's natural balance. So once it's done, like your dopamine levels completely plummet, and that's why you feel a shell of a human. I referred to it once as feeling like a Kinder Surprise, like the shell of like the chocolate egg. And then once you open it and the little toy comes out, and it's just like, I felt like a shell of a human, like a Kinder Surprise. And then you come up with weird stuff like that. Like you're just like mentally ill, essentially. What is some of the long term damage? So it's not just your brain. It really damages your entire body. Your nose can collapse like a deviated septum from snorting it. Social consequences, loss of a job, loss of a relationship. How many relationships have ended because someone just has really bad addiction issues and they just can't keep their promises, can't show up to work on time or just doesn't show up at all or calls in sick. You can get fired for calling in sick too many times. I've done it. I've literally done it. And I know many people that have too. Chronic high blood pressure, irregular heartbeat. I filmed another video on atrial fibrillation, which is a very common irregular heart rhythm. So check that video out. It is something that can be caused by excessive alcohol use, drug use, and some other causes as well. But it's becoming more and more common in people in their 30s, in their 40s, especially men. So yeah, definitely check out that video as well if you have any concerns about irregular heartbeat. Heart muscle damage, long term cardiomyopathy, it weakens the heart muscle. Kidney damage, I've spoken about that a few times. Gastrointestinal ulcers is a thing that can happen. And then your mental health can deteriorate. You might be using drugs and alcohol as an escape, as a way to self medicate. And I mean, personally, that's I think why I got into addiction so young, because I came from like a good family. Like I had all the things that, why would I have ended up like that? Um, and I think it was just as simple as I had some generalized anxiety. I had generalized anxiety disorder in the late 90s, early 2000s. That wasn't really talked about. If you're my age, 40, or if you're younger or older, you're probably in the same boat. You remember feeling maybe if you had anxiety or depression, that wasn't something you talked about with your friends. That wasn't something that they talked to you about at school. Mm-mm. Maybe your parents, like if you told them you were feeling like you were anxious, maybe they'd be like, well, just suck it up. So it wasn't a really common thing. So I think a lot of young people, you just, you realize that if you have a couple beers, then you don't have that feeling anymore. And one thing leads to another. So it's a big deal. So can you recover from using cocaine and alcohol? Of course you can recover, but to a certain point. Like if you've gotten to the point where you have liver failure and you need a transplant, you can recover from a transplant, but like your life is going to be very, very different. If you have kidney failure, you can live on one kidney, but if you have any kind of renal disease, any stage of chronic kidney disease, your quality of life is going to be really diminished. If you're on dialysis, your quality of life is going to be very diminished. You can still have a wonderful full life on dialysis, and I'm a dialysis nurse and I can tell you that. I see patients that are thriving and they're doing very well. However, you will be on dialysis for the rest of your life. And what does that look like? I have a video on dialysis, so check that out. But for dialysis, it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or it's Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. You're going 3 days a week for a minimum of 2 hours to a maximum of like 4.5. and you're on that machine. And so you really, really need to think very, very carefully before you do drugs and combine them with alcohol. There's no safe amount. And the BS about a glass of wine will keep the doctor away, like, no, that's BS. It's 2025. You don't need alcohol. You don't need drugs, period. I even for people that are like, well, I don't really have a problem with it, so like I'm okay with having one drink. But it's like, but what's the point? Like, what's literally the point of having one drink? Like they know there's no safe level. It's like, if anything, it'll dehydrate. One drink, it's like having one cigarette. What's the point? Like, what's really the point? There's more of a point of having one drink than one cigarette, in my opinion. But I digress. There's so many amazing non-alcoholic drinks out there. Like, get rid of the drugs, get rid of the alcohol. If you need support, which you will most likely, there's great programs. There's behavioral therapy like CBT. Obviously, there's support groups like Cocaine Anonymous, and AA, of course, if you're having more of a difficulty with alcohol. A lot of times, if you're like, okay, I'm using these two drugs together, what should I focus on first? I would focus on removing the alcohol, because most people will not do cocaine if they're sober. It's just, I feel like it's not a thing. Like, if that's you, then please comment below, because I'd like to hear your story, because I feel like most of the people I knew, all the people I knew, never did cocaine without alcohol. So focus on getting rid of alcohol, and then I feel like you'll see your life will improve. Everything else will drop off, because it's like, I feel like it's like the black hole of addiction. Um, because it opens you up. Like, you just, like, you have no inhibitions anymore. So it's like fair game for anything. Support groups, we talked about that. Medication. So you shouldn't just cut yourself off cold turkey. If you're drinking a lot of alcohol and you're using a lot of cocaine, don't just stop cold turkey. I mean, you're going to need some assistance, and because it can be a shock to your system. So medication to manage withdrawal symptoms. So that's something, talk to your provider about it. There's no shame in talking about having issues with these things. A lot of these providers probably have had issues with this too. Like I said, this in the previous video, part one of this video, this drug does not discriminate. It's not, it doesn't discriminate. Like, doctors have issues with this. Very, very wealthy people have issues with this. Poor people on the street have issues with this. The middle class have it. Like, this drug knows no bounds. And I think that's really important. I feel like, and this is kind of off topic, but I feel like when I was younger, and there was these like campaigns to like against drugs, and they'd show you these like images of people that were like, covered in sores and like living on the street and like really in deplorable conditions, and really old people that were like hobbling, like missing limbs, and like just really having a rough time. And you see that, and when you're like 16, you're like, and you're sitting in your parents' basement with a bunch of other kids in the suburbs, you're like, that's not me. Like, that'll never happen to me. Like, that person's life is not my life, so I'm good. And I think it's really important for people like me. I'm a nurse, I'm a mom, I'm married, I have a great life. I'm 40 years old, but I did all this. I did all this, and I just got lucky. I got lucky that I didn't get kidney damage, that I didn't have a heart attack or a stroke or get a heart arrhythmia like AFib or end up in the ER. I never even overdosed, you guys, and I should have. There's so many times that I did way too much, and I disrespected my body, and I played Russian roulette. And I managed to get out of it. I had some emotional trauma, some really severe emotional trauma, but I never physically hurt myself. I wasn't in a car accident. I got lucky. And I record these videos, and I said this in part one. I am recording this video not to shame you, to say you're a bad person because you are doing coke and alcohol, or you're doing one or the other. I am here as a inspiration to say, you know what? If this is what you're doing, I want you to really think twice, and I want you to remember that these are all the risks, because they don't talk about this stuff when you get to be 30. No one talks about this anymore. Like, in high school, it was like, talking about preventing, addiction and all of these things. But then once you get to be 30, no one's talking to you about this anymore. They don't talk about it at work. It's kind of like, do you have a problem? Call this number. Or like when you're in your doctor's appointment, they'll say like, hey, do you feel like hurting yourself or others? And you're just like, no, just answer the survey questions. Like, but I think it's really important to revisit this topic, because like, I was from a generation where, well, I shouldn't say a generation. The group of people I hung out with in the early 2000s, a lot of us did cocaine and alcohol. And a lot of us now are 40, right? Those of us that are alive still, because a lot of people died along the way. So I really want to encourage you, especially if you're young and you're watching this, just don't go down this path at all. Like, just literally like detour. Like, don't even go down this path. It's just not worth it. It's simply not worth it. And yeah, I'm going to leave you with that. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe. If you didn't watch part 1, then go check that out. If you don't have a problem with coke or alcohol, but you know someone that does, whether it's your parent, your aunt, your uncle, a cousin, a little sister, a little brother, an older an older sister, whoever it is, coworker, send them this video. Super subtle, right? Anyways, I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.